is death and destruction. So go back to when she said in Mando season 2 that attachments basically brought down the greatest of the Jedi, and something like that would be too dangerous to happen again. Doesn't that make
No.
sense?
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And to Blazerhawk Darren's point, maybe we will get to see her meet Luke, because if that hasn't happened yet, we may still yet get the moment of does she know Anakin is redeemed at this point?
I mean, maybe that scene in the Force
Because
Vision could
she
give her a
obviously
hint.
right, and she obviously knows that he has been redeemed in the book of Boba Fett.
Yes.
But if we're and that makes a whole lot of sense as to how she interacted with Anakin in this moment, because she could have been this whole time viewing that as just a pure Force vision, not actually happening, which is why she's so perturbed by seeing Anakin turn, with his Sith eyes and red lightsaber and all of that. She
Exactly.
probably just assumes this is a Force vision. She might not even know that he turned back to the light side.
Right. Real quick
At the
though,
end.
I know you just went live. Do you want to let's get your viewers up to speed real quick?
Sure. Well, we're mooching again. So Paul and I have done
Yes.
this a few times where one of us is streaming, we have the other on, and we stream because StreamYard will let us do this where we can stream to both audiences at the same time. So if you're coming here from my channel, this is Paul from Fandomology, formerly the Star
Hello.
Wars guys, and great conversations. If you find it in your heart to subscribe, let's get him to 500 subscribers. That would be awesome if we could do that tonight. But we are talking some wild Ahsoka theories, specifically something that should be obvious the way that I'm thinking about it now, that no one really has been talking about. The main criticism of Ahsoka in this show is that she was too stoic in the beginning, and it didn't line up with who we saw in the book of Boba Fett when she was on whatever planet that was with Luke and overseeing Grogu. That Ahsoka is much closer to the Ahsoka we see now, that she is redeemed or force baptized, whatever you want to put it, Ahsoka the White. So the timeline that we're throwing around as a theory is that we got Mando season 2, where she captures Morgan Elsbeth, transfers her to the New Republic officers to take her to Coruscant for punishment, trial, whatever. And immediately after that, the ship is attacked by Baylan and Shin, and we get thrust into the events of this Ahsoka series, which takes place between Mando season 2 and the Book of Boba Fett. So
Yes.
we may still get the scene where she finds out that Anakin was in fact redeemed, that he has a son, and then explains to Luke, I knew your father, I trained with him. We may still get that. And that is something that, until you mentioned it to me earlier today, I have not heard anyone else talk about.
Exactly. Because as I said on my own stream, I think everyone has just kind of been taking for granted that everything's happening chronologically in the release order. But
Yes.
here's the thing. Star Wars has a history of releasing things out of order. I mean, how many times have we made jokes about them releasing 4, 5, and 6 before 1, 2, and 3? And to
Right.
go beyond that even further, there's episodes in like the first 3 or 4 seasons of the Clone Wars that are out of order of each other. So Star Wars is known for doing things, for releasing things out of chronological order.
Right. I mean, what was one of the most recent shows we've gotten? Andor,
Andor.
which takes place before a movie that came out, 8 years ago,
Yeah.
which is a precursor to the original film that came out in 77. So the timeline's all over the place anyway, and by this point, you should know what's going on. And I get the average Star Wars fan maybe doesn't know the ins and outs of timelines and all that. I know Father Time, he's a regular on my channel, still asks me, so wait, when does this take place again? And the criticism for that, of course, is people shouldn't have to do their research to enjoy a particular product. But
Right.
I mean, that's what fandomology is knowing the things to enjoy them more. And at some point, you have to cross that line from appealing to the masses to putting something out that the people that put you there in the first place and supported your brand will appreciate. I think that's what they're
Exactly.
doing with this Ahsoka show. And at some point, it's like, yeah, if the casual person isn't going to get really as much out of this, and then of course it's a marketing decision, it's a business, they have to make their money, so that plays into it. But at some point, you're going to have to take those risks, and I think switching up the timelines is just something they had to do to tell this story.
Exactly, because I remember kind of in the immediate aftermath of that one Book of Boba Fett episode coming, Dave Filoni did say that he already knew in his head how Luke and Ahsoka met and how he basically revealed to Ahsoka that Vader had been redeemed. So I think, again, going back to the timeline that I'm presenting here, we have the Mando Season 2 episode where Ahsoka captures Morgan Elsbeth. She's still kind of lonerish and, kind of reserved. Like we already said, she doesn't want to train Grogu because she has those reservations about attachments. She's already abandoned Sabine. So Morgan Elsbeth gets captured. We don't know how much time passes, but let's say that after she gets done capturing Morgan Elsbeth, she, with the help of Hu Yang, travels to that one planet where she found the ball, and then the events of Ahsoka play out from there.
Yep.
So I think, yeah,
and that makes perfect sense, because what do we see her doing from Morgan Elsbeth in Mando Season 2? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? That's the line we get left off of, right? What is she doing exactly at the beginning of this show? Looking for the Wayfinder, the MacGuffin, whatever you want to call it, because she knows Morgan Elsbeth's ties with the Night Sister Magics, the Dathomirian witches, and she knows that if she finds that, it'll possibly be able to lead her to this other galaxy. Yes. The timeline matches. It does not make sense to go from
this is exactly it. Exactly it right here. Ahsoka didn't smile in Mando Season 2, but she smiled in Book of Boba Fett.
Yes. It's all about the smile. And the only thing that I can think of right now that would be a criticism against that is that she's not wearing her white robes.
To which that's an easy explanation. Who here wears just one set of an outfit? Like, who here's...
I kind of wear just like the same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I got a lot of black t-shirts, but I still have variances between them.
Right. And I mean, it makes sense for her to wear the white robes right there, if nothing else, for just the symbolic nature at the end of this episode to show us that she is a completely different person and reformed after that point.
Yeah. So I think that scene in Book of Boba Fett, where Ahsoka is there talking with Luke, is where we're going with the show. We're going to. Yes. I think the very last thing we're going to see in this show, after Ezra's been saved, after he and Sabine, have their happily ever after, Ahsoka is somehow going to end up with Luke on that planet where he's building his Jedi temple. They're going to meet for the first time, and Luke's going to reveal to Ahsoka that Vader was indeed redeemed.
Yes. So we will still, I'm confident, get that scene. What you just said, I hadn't heard that quote before, about Dave Filoni talking about something about in that scene in Book of Boba Fett.
Yeah.
They had already had that conversation, and he knew from the very beginning how that was going to play out. Do you think he would know that and plan that and not give that to us at some point? This may be in Ahsoka Season 2 or whatever. We don't know exactly when we're going to get that. It would be a wasted opportunity. And this is something I said on my stream. I don't remember if this was Monday or the week before that. But I said, I don't hold Filoni up as the savior of Star Wars like so many other people do, because he's made some decisions that I don't agree with. In terms of storytelling and where the plot goes. But I trust that he's competent, and I trust that he will follow the story that he wants to write. I don't
Exactly.
think he is one to be influenced by a Kathleen Kennedy. I think he's going to tell the story he wants to. And if Ahsoka is his child and he already has the scene planned of when she reveals, or when she learns that Anakin has been redeemed from Luke and then tells him that he was her master, if he's been planning that, we're going to get it. And it's going to be done right. I do trust him for that.
Yes, and kind of tying in your own theory that Anakin has now adopted the role of the father. Who's to say he couldn't appear there too? Like we've been saying that from the beginning. At least for simple wish fulfillment, we'd like to see Anakin,
Right.
Ahsoka, and Luke all in the same scene. And honestly, if this
We
timeline that we propose is correct, it's all the more likely.
And we've gotten two parts of that. We've gotten Luke and Anakin at the end of
Mm-hmm.
Return of the Jedi. We've gotten Luke and Ahsoka in the Book of Boba Fett. The one scene that we have not gotten yet that there is complete potential to happen is exactly that. And this just keeps blowing my mind that no one has been mentioning this. And maybe this is a blind spot for me, where I didn't put the dots together of of exactly what's going on with the timeline. But now it seems completely obvious, and I don't know how I didn't think of that before.
Exactly.
Jake76, good to see you here from my Mooch stream. Here's a sip for you.
Yes.
To catch you up, we are talking about the, yes, headless guitarist, exactly. So what we're talking about, John Graber, good to see you again as well. So Jake and John, to catch you guys up, anyone else from my channel, we are talking about a theory, and for all I know, this may not even be news. This could be understood to the majority of people already, and we're just way off.
Mm-hmm.
But the theory is that it has nothing to do with the world between worlds, exactly what we got in this episode. The theory is that back in Mando Season 2, when we were first introduced to Rosario Dawson as Ahsoka,
Mm-hmm.
she captures Morgan Elsbeth to find Grand Admiral Thrawn, right? Where is your
Yes.
master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn? Immediately from there, she gives Thrawn to the New Republic officers to be taken to Coruscant for trial or questioning. And on the way to Coruscant, their ship is hijacked by Balin and Shin. So what we are getting right now in Ahsoka are the events directly after Mando Season 2, before the Book of Boba Fett. And
Exactly.
the main criticism against Ahsoka, aside from her being stoic, which now we know is part of the character arc, is why was she not depressed and reserved in the Book of Boba Fett? Why was she
Mm-hmm.
so happy? You remind me so much of your father, right? And she was happy about that.
Exactly.
Why would she do that? And then go from that Ahsoka again to the stoic, reserved, depressed, life is meaningless Ahsoka that we got in the beginning
Yeah.
of this of this
The Ahsoka
series.
that walked out on Sabine.
Right. But think of the Ahsoka in Book of Boba Fett compared to the one we got in the last 5 minutes of episode 5. It's the exact same person. The
Yeah.
timelines completely match up. And is this just me not getting it? Because we all assumed that it was whatever shows we've been getting in chronological order.
Mm-hmm.
Book of Boba Fett, now she goes off with Sabine to find Ezra and Thrawn.
Exactly. And like I said before, Star Wars has a history of releasing things out of order. Real quick, Jake76 says theory after the first Clone Wars flashback happens, I think, on Ryloth. Which, time out for a second. Yes, I was wrong earlier when I did my review. I thought that was Teth from the movie. No, that's Ryloth. So I was wrong on that. But anyways, he says after the first battle on Ryloth, I think after that, the Tales of the Jedi training happens. That could happen.
With against the clones?
Yeah, where
Were you
she's
saying
trying,
again?
like that's where she starts training with the clones firing, and she kind of learns, okay, I need a second lightsaber in order to really accentuate my form.
Yeah, I can see that. I just think they did that so well, so tastefully and respectfully, and they did a really good job in that whole. And I don't even like calling it a flashback scene because it was just like a reliving, but with a different perspective.
Exactly. And
Uh,
I want to touch on this too. Coach from Echo Base Network put out a video earlier talking about how allegedly the actress, I forget her name, might have been receiving some pushback on her appearance in Ahsoka because she said something about a tweet saying something like, "I'll let you guys know how I'm feeling after the unpleasantness ended," or something like that, which is a shame because that young actress did amazing here. And I
Phenomenal
know,
job. And I have not heard any criticism against the Ahsoka. For all the people that against that Ahsoka, for all the people complaining about this episode and Anakin being in it and space whales and all the ridiculous things that people are saying, I have not personally seen or heard a single thing against what's her name? Greenblatt, Ariana Greenblatt,
Ariana
I think
Greenblatt,
is.
I think.
I have not heard a single criticism against her or the Ahsoka version that we
Yeah.
got.
The one
And
critique.
the loudest, the most upset people are going to be the loudest,
Mhm.
and it's Star Wars. So part of it is grow a thick skin, but the outpouring of appreciation is overwhelming that I have seen for that character.
Yeah. The one critique I've seen with her, and again, I'm quoting Coach here, but he said that he and Nick basically would have liked to have heard Ashley Eckstein's voice being dubbed over her. But at the same time, at
I
least
didn't
for
care.
me, when I was watching it, I didn't feel that need. And if by that logic, we should have had Hayden Christensen dubbing over Matt Lantor in the Clone Wars. Same with Ewan McGregor instead of James Arnold Taylor.
Right.
Differences in voices between animation and real life is another thing that Star Wars is known for.
Right. And that's why I was so impressed with Hayden in this episode. Not because, like, oh, we actually get to see him act, because I thought he was a great actor in the prequels. He did exactly
Yeah,
what he was called upon to do. But because he played the role of live action Hayden Skywalker that we've gotten before, but with the mannerisms and speech patterns of Matt Lanter.
and
And
he
I
did
think he straddled that
amazingly with
line
it.
perfectly. It was so impressive. And I don't know if they manipulated the audio or dubbed with Matt Lanter, but it sounded like a perfect blend between the two. I was very
Especially
impressed with
when he
that.
was joking around.
Yes. Yeah, and that's why I said the mannerisms. Like, this wasn't the whiny teenage version of Anakin that we got in the movies, which has a place for it, and I'm not complaining about that because I
Mhm.
love the character of Anakin in both of those movies. But the way that he bridged the gap and brought the seams together was phenomenal. And I didn't know that I was watching a live action Hayden Christensen. It was just Anakin in the Clone Wars, and so there was not a not a complaint from me on that.
Right.
I carry the show for a minute. I gotta give me 60 seconds.
Okay. Darren says young Ahsoka was a young Gamora from Guardians of the Galaxy. Yeah, I feel like I heard that somewhere. And she was in the Barbie movie. And Ian says, yeah, but Hayden was obviously trying to make his voice sound like Matt, and it was obvious to him. He said obvious twice. That's all right, man. I repeat words all the time too. But yes, it was. I noticed it too that Hayden was trying to absorb some of Matt Lantor's mannerisms for Anakin into his own. And again, just seeing Hayden Christensen wearing the actual armor that Anakin wore during the first half of the Clone Wars, it was just mwah. But yeah, anyways, though, guys, you guys that are in the chat, both in my channel and on Coffee on Korriban's, this theory that we have that Ahsoka takes place before Book of Boba Fett. What do you guys think? Do you guys agree with it? Do you guys not agree with it? Is there an angle that we have not considered? Please let us know, and we'll keep the stream going so that we can address that. However, there is one thing I do want to mention, kind of on the back of all of this hype that we've been having. I really, really, really hope And and now that you're back, Tim, I want your thoughts on this too. I'm just kind of voicing a concern that I have for the rest of the show. But I really do hope that, as good as this episode and this scene was, I hope this is not the peak. I hope that the rest of the episodes are not just flat compared to what we just got.
Right, and that'll be the challenge, because this felt like a finale episode.
It kind of
honestly, if the beginning of this, if this was episode 8 and we had more stories or adventures or whatever in the last few episodes, and this was the finale and we had to wait a year for the continuation of the story for Ahsoka season 2, I would be fine with that. It was great as a let's cap this off and go on to the next thing. But then where do you go from that? How do you
exactly
top that?
and here's the thing: even within this own episode, her cutting off, the vision with Anakin, the line, "There's hope for you yet," and she wakes up and she's pulled out of the water. I was expecting that to be the end, but no, it's all the stuff with the whales. And honestly, I was just exhausted from all the hype after the Anakin stuff was done that I barely cared about the whales. So
yeah, I think I was still just riding the high and it's soaking it all in at that point. So it wasn't a problem for me. Black
Right.
Dragon, good to see you. Kay, good to see you as well.
Yes.
Welcome to
He
the
says, "I don't think the series is being good enough for a season 2." I mean, I can definitely understand
valid
that.
opinion. Yeah, nothing wrong with that.
I think people possibly. Now, granted, this all depends on how tolerant you are in this day and age of Disney and Lucasfilm and their business and political practices. Go by your own moral code on that one. But as far as just pure enjoyment of Star Wars, this could potentially be something that people look back on after a time and be like, "Hey, we shouldn't have slept on that."
Yeah. Yeah, and the thing I don't get, and I might have a stream dedicated to this on Monday, is the amount of insane vitriol against this show. Like, I mean, we're both Christians. We've
Yes.
interacted with atheists, and then we've interacted with atheists, like militant atheists. It is their goal in life to make you cry because you believe in God.
Exactly.
That's the same kind of fervor that I've seen from some people. And it's like, to the atheist, I would say, okay, you don't believe in God. Like, okay.
Yeah.
Leave me alone, I guess. Like,
Or
why
to
do
use
you care
another
so
analogy,
much?
analogy, there's vegans, and then there's vegans like
Yes.
PETA.
Exactly. Yeah, and to the people relating it back to the Star Wars, it's the same exact kind of psychoactivism. It's like, we are at episode 5. If you were so predetermined to not like it, why are you here? Like, why are you even watching at this point? Yes, it's already way better than the sequel trilogy. I would ask those people that are so, "Oh, this is the dumbest show. They ruined everything." It's like, well, okay. Do you think this is better than the sequels?
Which, to be fair, is a low bar to set, but
right,
still.
but I would ask them, like, we get it, you probably don't like the sequels, but how does this compare to the sequels in your eyes, is what I would want to ask those people. I would assume they would say it's better, in which case I would just respond, then we're headed in a better direction, I guess. Leave it at that. But I don't understand how psycho they are about this.
Right.
Like, their goal is to convince everyone else to have a bad time.
Mm-hmm. And Black Dragon says, "I do like Rosario's portrayal as Ahsoka in this episode as opposed to before. She was much more animated, like the Ahsoka we've watched before, and not so stoic."
Let's bring it back to the entire point of this stream. So, Black Dragon, great that you brought that up, because the theory that we are going off of, that we're talking about here, that's just blowing my mind the more that I think about it. Timelines, the chronological order of live action Ahsoka goes, as we're talking about right now in our theory, Mando season 2,
Specifically, the episode with Ahsoka in it.
Yes, she captures Morgan Elsbeth and asks her, "Where is your master? Where is Grand Admiral Thrawn?" She then, off screen, between episodes, delivers her to the New Republic officers to be taken to Coruscant for trial. En route to Coruscant, her ship is the ship that Morgan Elsbeth is on is attacked, and she is taken and freed by Baylan Skoll and Shin Hati. And we are thrust into the events of this series. So that Ahsoka, the one that was reluctant to train Grogu, who communicated with him and probably had a little bit of joy because, you know, it's Grogu. Like, you were from the temple. Cool. A little bit of nostalgia there and remembering my past. But she didn't want to train him. And she was bent on finding Thrawn through Morgan Elsbeth.
Not to mention her walking out on Sabine.
Right. That is the same Ahsoka that walked out on Sabine, that abandoned her, which is why she didn't want to train Grogu, who has her arms folded, who is very passive, who will help people in need, but has no real purpose, no hope, no joy, no passion. That is the Ahsoka we've had thus far in this series. Now that she is reborn, force baptized, whatever you want to call it, she has, as Black Dragon said, she's much more animated, like the Ahsoka we've watched before, not so stoic. Then, after the events of this Ahsoka show, we go to the Book of Boba Fett, where she is that happy, animated. You remind me just of your father.
Exactly.
To Luke, that we get later. That is her character arc. We're seeing the reason for the change in this series right here. And that explains a whole lot, because the criticism that other people have had of Ahsoka's portrayal in this show, aside from her being stoic, is that it doesn't make sense for her to be happy and positive in the Book of Boba Fett and then go to being stoic only to be redeemed, like a shoehorned in character arc. And I don't know if this, again, is this just something that I failed to pick up on? Does everyone else know this already and not me? But I feel like the general understanding is that this happens after Book of Boba Fett. When I'm pretty sure now that we're talking about it, it doesn't.
Exactly. Like, oh, hold on a second. KG's just added a whole other layer to this. It could have been Ahsoka when Grogu saw the whales at the beginning of Mando Season 3.
Bruh.
Wow.
I like that a whole lot, and I am making a video on this as soon as we end this stream.
Yeah, like...
Kay says vegetarian but not militant.
And by the way, hello to Cat DRL2, who says, "I'm at work, but I wanted to share my gratitude for the last 3 videos you put up on Ahsoka." This is from your chat. "Great analysis. Your voice is so calming."
Awesome. Well, I appreciate that. I would like to extend my gratitude for you, to you for watching the videos in the first place, and especially being active in the chat. I love when people are actually communicating. I appreciate that you think my voice is calming, because I don't like my voice.
He also says,
I don't think anyone likes their voice.
He also says, "I'm sorry the hate has gotten so bad with this show. People are either Star Wars or Kathleen Kennedy haters and will never change their minds, and they're determined to voice that on social media." Yeah. Like, at that point, I really do think if you are just that anti everything Star Wars, and this is coming from someone that has by and large hated everything that Disney has done with Star Wars, but if you are in the mindset that absolutely nothing Disney has done, will do, or possibly can do with Star Wars is just going to be garbage, then for your own mental sanity, just walk away.
Just wait until you hear rumors of it being sold to another company, and then you can be interested again, potentially.
Exactly. And even then, I know that there will be some people that the damage is just done. Like, yeah. I know...
And that goes back to what I was talking about with the militant atheists. There's atheists, and then there's atheists, and their entire goal in life is to go around and evangelize their religion of non-religion. It's the same fervor that we
Which
see
in
with
itself
these.
Is a religion.
Exactly, and it's the same kind of fervor and blind militantism That's really all I can, like, why else would they be so obsessed with commenting on every video how dumb we are for even enjoying the thing and calling us shills? It's like, well, I mean, I'm a Star Wars channel. I'm a huge Star Wars fan. I would
Mhm.
prefer it if I enjoyed the thing that I'm watching. And if I don't, I will call it out like I did with Mando Season 3. But just because I
Exactly.
enjoy something, like, doesn't mean I'm shilling. There was one comment I had on one of my videos that said something like, this show is too tailored to the hardcore Star Wars fan. Disney is doing a terrible job because it's not marketable to the masses. And my response was, so you care about Disney making money? Like that's your criticism, is that Disney's not going to make enough money? That's kind of a strange angle to come from.
Hmm.
But the backlash has been just weird. It's just strange. The fan base has always been divided, and people have always had differing opinions. But as it is right now, it's just so weird how psycho some of those people are. And
Exactly.
this is completely different from someone like Black Dragon, who says, I like it, I don't love it. Or other people in my chat who have said, I don't really care for this show. Or even Coach, who likes some things and doesn't like other things. Those are all valid opinions.
And you want to know something? This is exactly why I said in that video that I did that ultimately I think now retconning the sequel trilogy would be a bad idea.
Yes.
Because, and again, I say this as someone that despises the sequel trilogy, but basically what I'm saying, what I said with that is, as divided as the fan base is now, it will be 10 times worse if you basically take away what those
Yes.
that do
Yes.
like Disney Star Wars
Yep.
like.
Here's a question. Do you accept the sequels? Not do you like them. Do you accept them?
Well, yes, but willingly is another question.
Mm,
It's one of those
okay.
things where I almost feel like I have no choice
Did you see my
because
video from about 2 weeks ago on how to accept the sequels for haters? I
I
don't.
did.
Well, then this would be a perfect video for you, Headless
I'll,
Guitarist, to check out.
I'll send it to you, Ian. But yeah, I did see it, and ultimately I do agree. You do not have liking them and accepting them are two entirely different things.
Yes.
You do not have to like them. I don't.
Yes.
I never will.
I appreciate certain aspects of them. I like certain things about them. I love very few moments in them.
Ooh, here's something
There are
spicy. KG says that she does, but her husband doesn't. Ooh boy. Is Star Wars like
that is spicy.
is that like a hands-off conversation for you guys?
Yeah, that's pretty spicy. But my point in saying that is, I don't like the sequels. I don't love them. There are things in them that I like and other things that I really do like in the sequels. They're just buried under all the other garbage. But I accept them. Maybe not even
Yes.
into my headcanon yet, but for what they are and for what I can glean from them, I accept them. So yeah, and so Headless Guitarist, definitely check out that video that I made. I'll send it to Paul and he can send it to you. And basically it was, here is how, if you hate everything sequels, how you can get yourself to let go of your hate and accept them for what they are. Not as good movies or anything, but just for what they are, to let go of your hate. So check that out and
Yes.
let me know what you think.
And
Definitely leave a
hello
comment
to
on the video
Brandon, the
with your
anime
thoughts.
guy, with his trademark hashtag Duck Disney.
Never heard of him.
And again, I'm not saying that is we're not saying that is invalid. There's plenty of reasons, both politically, economically, and story wise. There's plenty of reasons to
Yeah.
hate Disney.
And yeah, Blazerhawk, exactly. Some of us, it'll take time to accept the sequel. This is a new revelation for me. I had no desire to rewatch them at all. And now I start thinking to myself, you know what, maybe I want to check that out. Maybe there's a little bit more nuggets of that Star Wars feel hidden in those movies that I didn't pick out before.
And you
And
know
my
what
whole
started it?
thing behind, and before we get too deep into the weeds talking about the sequels, because that's not the point of the stream,
Mhm.
my theory behind that video, what I wanted to get across was these movies, shows, comics, books, games are windows to look through into the universe of Star Wars. It's our universe, it's our history, just a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. What we see of the movies are retellings of that history. And there's creative licenses in how you do that. When you watch Saving Private Ryan, you're not watching World War II before your eyes. You're watching a retelling of that. So, yeah, sorry, Brandon. But if you have a dirty and scratched up window, whatever scenery is still beyond it, your viewing experience is not going to be as pleasurable. That's kind of what I equated it to. I worded it better in that video, so definitely check that out.
Right.
Except
So
Brandon, you probably don't want to see it. But
that's okay. All right. So, but real quick, we do have some more people that are joining both in your chat and mine. So let's just one more time recap what this theory is that we're talking about. So basically, the point is I feel like the fan base as a whole has kind of been just blindly accepting that these Disney Plus shows, at least within the Mandoverse, have been happening chronologically in the order that they've been released. Mando season 1 to season 2 to Boba to season 3 to Ahsoka. But the theory that I propose is that is not what's happening. What's happening is we have the ending of the Ahsoka episode in Mando season 2, where she captures Morgan Elsbeth, asks her where Grand Admiral Thrawn is. Elsbeth is taken into custody, taken to Coruscant for trial. But while on the way, of course, we know that she gets rescued by Baylan Skoll and Shin, thus kickstarting the events of the Ahsoka show. And all of this is going to lead to that moment where Ahsoka meets with Luke on that temple where he's training Grogu. Basically, that the Ahsoka show is happening before Book of Boba Fett.
yeah, and again, this may be completely obvious to everyone else, and this may be something that was meant to be obvious by the creators of the show, but from every channel that I've seen, it's almost like they're blindly accepting that we are getting these shows in chronological order. Mando 1, Mando 2.
Black Dragon is saying it right here. Star
Thank
Wars
you.
movies were released 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3, 7, 8, 9. And Clone Wars episodes were released out of chronological order too.
Yeah. Yeah, Kat says it right there. Just several storylines. But Mando 2, Ahsoka, Boba Fett smooths out a whole lot of questions that a lot of people had.
Yeah. And if we're wrong, then we're wrong. You know, we'll take that one on the chin and keep moving.
Yeah.
Cat DRL2 says it's more like the Fury's busy week analogy, where there are several parallel storylines all coming together in Dave's Endgame movie. And Ian also said, well, I'm a sucker for a good story, but I'm so analytical that I pick out any flaw I see. Trust me, I know. In a movie, almost unintentionally, and with the sequel trilogies, it's basically sensory overload.
That's me with music. Yep. Sequel acceptance, no choice, but there are some great pearls. Star Wars timeline is muddy on purpose. Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah, it just makes a whole lot of sense. And the more I'm thinking about it, it's like, yeah, that's so obvious. Why didn't I think about that before? I watch your vid, but I can't do Disney Star Wars. Gave them the chance and they blew it. Fair enough. Fair enough. At least you're not one of the people that's commenting on every video telling us why we shouldn't enjoy it.
Yes. I sent, by the way, Ian, I sent you the link to this video already, but I went ahead and put your Accepting the Sequel Trilogy for Haters video in the chat here. So you guys should be able to hear.
And my point in the video, and I say that in there, is not to convince anyone that these are good movies. I don't believe that they are. But for the people that are blinded by their hatred of them, it might give you a little bit more of a perspective to at least come to peace with them yourself.
Mm-hmm.
And hello, that's kind of what I was trying to
do. Excuse me. Hello to Scoundrels Cantina, who says, isn't The Force Awakens the end game to these shows, though? Yeah, that is true. All roads lead to the sequel trilogy, unfortunately. whether you like it or not. And again, that goes back to his video. You don't have to like it, but at this point, why waste the mental energy denying it?
Yeah. Dan the Man says Ahsoka is the best thing that came out since the Clone Wars Siege of Mandalore. I can definitely see that. If we get, and I'll say this right now, if we get another episode like the one we just got of the latter three that we have this season, man, the coffee's kicking in. I will rank this above Andor. It's very close right now. And the reason that I'm saying that is because Andor was phenomenal, fantastic. It's exactly what I wanted and more from that show. But, and this is probably your biggest gripe with it, it didn't have some of that Star Wars magic.
Exactly.
This show does.
Yes.
This show has some of the little cheesiness, the space battles, the Force, the family.
Oh man, I think you have blown KG's mind with that.
This episode is hitting me so hard in the feeling of Star Wars. This is something I haven't felt. Again, as what was it, Dan the Man that said that? Since the Siege of Mandalore. That was the last time that I felt this Star Wars. You can feel the Force.
And real quick, Brandon says TFIF. Let me tell you, I know what he's trying to say, but let me tell you what TIF actually stands for. It actually stands for the Force is family.
The Force is feminist.
Well, here on Fandomology, it's the Force is family. You know what? I'm gonna go back to just closing every stream like that. I'll open with where fandoms collide, but I'm gonna close from now on with the Force's family because that's too good to give up.
The Force doesn't stomp with Star Wars. The Force, it's an energy field created by all living things.
Exactly.
It surrounds us and penetrates us. It binds the galaxy together.
Yeah. Scoundrel's Cantina says, to be fair, I mostly give it a headcanon, and as far as I'm ever been concerned, despite liking the EU a lot, Return of the Jedi is where the story ends. I deny canonicity to the entire Mando universe.
Fair enough, and a lot of people don't even accept the prequels in their headcanon. So
yeah. By the way, hello to What's the Takeaway, who says, I'm still convinced Heir to the Empire would have been a better sequel. I do agree.
Yeah. Oh, what else was I going to say? Just the Star Wars magic is in this show, and I'm serious about that. If we get another episode like this one where it made me feel those certain ways, I will rank this above Andor as the best.
There is something we do have to remember for this next episode. This next episode, we are guaranteed to see the outside of the Star Wars galaxy for the first time. Yes. So there's a lot riding on that. They're either going to pull it off really well, or it's going to flop.
Yep. Ahsoka is pure Star Wars, both feet in mythology. Andor is another level of execution in writing and direction, and Foundation is beyond both. Yeah, and Andor was technically fantastic. Storytelling, perfect. Dialogue, script, cinematography, it was all perfect, but it did not have the taste of Star Wars.
It didn't have the Force.
The Force, the family, the slight bit of cheesiness, and that's not what they were going for. So what they did in that show was exactly what they were going for. Traitor! But this show has it. I never with Andor came away from an episode feeling like this is Star Wars. A couple times I got a little close, but I got that in spades in this last episode of Ahsoka.
Yes. Secondary headcanon where the EU happens after Return of the Jedi would be a perfect place for some of the Mandoverse stuff, like the Anakin Ahsoka scenes, for example, and generally the continuation of surviving Clone Wars and Rebels into the post Return of the Jedi EU timeline. What's the takeaway says, when I was younger, my friends and I played the Star Wars tabletop RPG. I would like to try that at some point, by the way. I never played a Force-sensitive character. I was a spy or a scoundrel. Andor hit me in the feels because those are my guys. And
Yep,
Brandon
I see
says,
that.
and/or felt like a back to tank.
I think you mean the Polynesian spa. There
Yes.
are no words.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's, again, what do you guys think of our theory where we have the Ahsoka show happening after that episode of Mando Season 2, but before Book of Boba Fett? What do you guys think? Leave it in, of course, both of our comment sections here on Fandomology and over on Coffee on Korriban.
Yep.
And tell us whether or not you agree, disagree, whether there's an angle that we are not looking at it from, and just let us know. Black Dragon says,
I disagree. I
kinda...
disagree with that. I thought it was really good.
I will say this. I went back and did my homework and actually watched the Ahsoka scenes in Book of Boba Fett, and they did throw some of Luke in there. I will say that the Luke stuff that they did, that did not age well. So the Anakin stuff was at least better than that.
Yeah. By the way, if you guys would be so inclined, two things. First, if you want, delicately tap that like button. You don't have to, but it helps both of us out. Second, if you are watching from my stream, because we're mooch streaming right now, we're simulcasting. If you're not subscribed to Fandomology, please do it for me. Let's get him to 500. Let's see if we can do that tonight. I know there's a lot of crossover with all these people that are subscribed to both channels, but if you're not, definitely subscribe to his channel. I would appreciate it.
And Scoundrels Cantina says at least they de-aged him, unlike in Kenobi.
Fair point.
Yes, thank goodness.
So, people complain about member berries all the time. Anakin in Kenobi felt thrown in.
Yeah.
Not much reverence played to the character or the actor. This episode felt extremely respectful to both Hayden Christensen Anakin and Matt Lanter Anakin. Very respectful. What's the takeaway? Says, buy yourselves a cup of coffee. Well, we'll just have to do that because Paul's actually coming into my neck of the woods next week. I don't know how much time we'll be able to have to do some stuff, but we'll buy some coffee. So
yes,
thank you.
absolutely.
I appreciate that. And if I was streaming as the primary on my channel, I would play the video clip right now, but I can't do that. Paul can play a video clip.
I can do, let me think of something here. Something super chat-ish. Well, Ebian likes to play random clips for their super chat, so I'll do the same thing. So here's a flashback to a funny gaming moment.
Hey, I can be I can sound like Cash Money. Did you know that?
Do it.
Let's hear it.
Oh my god. No. They put woke stuff. They put woke stuff in my Star Wars.
I'd never seen that before.
Okay, so here's the story behind that real quick. That was on just a random Skyrim stream, which, by the way, those are coming back. It was on a random Skyrim stream, and it was one of those usual things where I was in my Discord with Cash, Crit, and Phil, and Crit was playing around with his little voice changer program, and he basically just started spamming through different things, from chipmunk sounds to really dark sounds to sounding like Megatron to even getting the right voice down. And me and him were like directly quoting from Star Trek V, which I got to play the clip since I mentioned Star Trek V. So Phil, here's this for you. # justice for Star Trek V.
Excuse me, I'd just like to ask a question. What does God need with a starship? I said, what does God need with a starship?
Jim,
What are you doing? I'm asking you a question.
Also, hello in the chat to Jedi Mike, which again, dude, thank you so much for joining my stream Wednesday. You were a treat to have on, and honestly, I'd like to have you on again just to get to know you a little bit better and hear a little bit more of your story as a Star Wars fan.
Yeah,
So,
highlight what Tom said real quick.
Where is it? Oh, here it is.
Tom always has great comments. One thing to add, Ahsoka is now balanced in the Force. Kanan in Rebels. Sabine can't or won't seek balance. She's blocked. Ahsoka's newfound balance will unlock Sabine in the Force. Completely agree.
Mm-hmm.
Completely
I think
agree.
it is.
And here's a question. Going back, sorry to cut you off. Going back to what we were talking about with his whole theory in general. Was Ahsoka in the Book of Boba Fett balanced, would you say?
Yes. Yeah,
Completely.
I would 100% say that.
Yes. Thank you, Kay.
Thank you. And here's the thing too. Crap, I forgot what I was gonna. Let me look at this. Oh yeah. Okay, so I remember. They've been teasing it this whole show. This idea of Sabine using the Force. You know, we had the first tease of her trying to move the cup, but she didn't. We had the second tease of her holding her hand out. Maybe she's going to use the Force on Sin, but no, psych.
She might have actually pushed her just a little bit. I watched it back. She might have given her a little Force shove on the shoulder.
I don't think so. I think that was just the recoil of the darts.
Maybe.
Yes.
Let Korriban's peeps get the link. Can I post the link? The link to Paul's channel, right? Is that what we're talking about?
Yeah.
Let me post it in there.
So yeah, definitely. Like I said, if we are wrong about this theory, fine. You know, we'll basically theorize another day. Live to theorize another day.
I like this theory so much that if it's not true, it feels like a wasted opportunity.
I do have to agree. Now,
all right, everyone, let me know if that link I just put for Fandomology in the chat works, because he is
489.
10 subscribers. 10 subscribers away from hitting 500. Can we do that tonight? Everyone in the chat that's here from my channel, click that link. Please give Paul your subscription. He does great Star Wars, Star Trek, all kind of fandoms. It's the study of fandoms.
Exactly. We have brought back, by the way, a series that we tried a long time ago. It's called Beginner Series, where I've been having different guests on that are knowledgeable about a different franchise, be it video game based or movie based or whatever, and basically breaking it down for someone that potentially may not have heard of it before. So the most recent one we did was Five Nights at Freddy's. That was part 1, because for those that know, there's a lot to Five Nights at Freddy's.
I got into a little bit of FNAF, but there's so much there that I already subbed in a mod. Well, thanks for being here. That's all we have.
Yeah, thank you. And Black Dragon, yes, we will definitely do some anime stuff with you, 100%. No, that was my link that Tim posted. We can get that one too.
Yeah, we can get Jedi mics in there as well. I forget because we're multi-streaming that some people just they're not able to see the comments for the other stream.
I know for a fact
you,
that
Kat.
anything
Appreciate
I
that.
post can't go into your chat. So
yeah,
I'm
anything
grabbing
I post can't go.
I'm grabbing the link for you now for Jedi Mike.
We're still learning how to do this multi-streaming.
Yeah. So while I'm grabbing this, by the way, kind of changing subject for a second into theme park stuff. And by the way, thank you to CatDRL2 for subbing. But my sister texted me something very interesting about Lightning Rod at Dollywood, and I want to know if you've heard about this.
Yes,
They're
I
shutting
have.
it down and retrofitting it with a chain lift.
Supposedly a high-speed chain lift, which means chain lift.
Mm-hmm.
The rest of the ride supposedly is going to be the same. I sure hope that they convert the rest of the track to iBox, because there's some portions of it that are, I mean, they've got potholes in some parts of the track, because it was originally a hybrid coaster with, you know, the steel topper track.
Mm-hmm.
Then they converted about 75% of it to iBox, but there's some parts of it that are still wood with topper, and they're rough. They're noticeable to where, Dollywood is in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee, about an hour away from where I am. And
It's basically a big theme park, of course, themed to Dolly Parton. It's gone through many different iterations over the years.
Yeah.
I think the most well-known before it became Dollywood was Silver Dollar City.
Correct.
But it's a really nice and a very, very family-friendly theme park too. So if you're not willing to spend money on the Disney parks, definitely take them to Dollywood, because not only will they be not, we'll say, woke, but they're definitely cheaper too.
Yes. Yeah, we love Dollywood. We'll be there tomorrow, actually, in a couple hours.
Yeah.
But we're going there tomorrow. We go there pretty much every weekend that I have off. It's great. That's on the other side of the country for me, but it sounds like fun. Well, hit me up if you are ever in East Tennessee, and I will get you into Dollywood.
Absolutely. Ian says
truck driver. Okay, so you probably drive on the 40. I bet we've been within like 2 miles of each other at some point.
Probably. KG says, I haven't been to Pigeon Forge or Gatlinburg in years.
Yeah.
Black Dragon, that comment you just sent's a little edgy, but I'll just go ahead and read it. He says, so it's a triple E theme park.
Over my head. I don't get it.
Let's leave it that way.
Sure.
I got it. And yes, Jedi Mike. Yeah, this one was a closed show, but we will do more open panels in the future where we'll be happy to have you on.
I'll have you on my channel sometime too.
Yeah.
So, if you haven't, Jedi Mike, join my Discord. I don't remember if you're in there or not. Then you can message me and I'll get you on.
Yeah, here. Tell you what, I'm going to really quick grab a link to both of our Discords, and I'm going to drop them both in the chat. So yours
I'll
first.
I'll drop mine.
Okay, you drop yours.
You can drop yours to yours and
all right, so
whatever else.
So, of course, if you guys are not part of either of our Discords, please join, because in his, you get a lot of good Star Wars discussions kind of that happen after the cameras stop rolling. And then with mine, you just get a lot of chaotic gaming streams.
Yeah. The discussions in my Discord server are fantastic. They're exactly what you would expect. It's like going into a coffee shop, but everyone there talks Star Wars.
Yes.
It's really nice.
Yes.
And it's at that perfect size where there's like usually people active in there, but it's not just like an endless stream of comments and you can't carry a conversation.
Dr. Chaos lives. Yes. And his name is Phil McCracken. But anyways, though, let's see. Real quick before we go, what was that one brand new coaster that we didn't get to ride last time?
Let's see. Big Bear Mountain is the newest edition. That's the one they added. It's a Vekoma family coaster, multi-launch. It is great. It's great. My 4-year-old loves it, and I love it. It's really good. It's really good.
And then there was that one wooden one we skipped last time, right?
Thunderhead is a great coaster. They redid probably a quarter of the track, and it's running really well this year.
Awesome. So if
we'll check that out.
If we are able to meet up, that is like the first thing I want to do when we meet up.
Thunderhead is a great ride. Back row, it might be my favorite ride in the park, ahead of Lightning Rod,
Which is saying something because you set a record on Tennessee Tornado.
I did, yeah. Yes, I did set a record most rides in a day on one of the aero loopers they have there, Tennessee Tornado. 3 inversions, 150 feet drop or something. And I rode it 97 times in one day. And the hardest part was not keeping myself from throwing up. It was the stairs, because you have to go down the stairs and back up the stairs through the line every single time. And I did that 97 times. From when they opened, I ran to the ride, and I did not get off the ride until they closed.
Black Dragon says, watch Rhinestone and you'll understand my comments. Just keep in mind, going into Rhinestone, Sylvester Stallone can't sing.
I'll probably
Darren says, Dollywood sounds something like a redneck Disneyland, but cheaper and better.
Yeah, so that is exactly what I thought before I moved to Tennessee. I grew up, a little bit of backstory, I grew up going to Disneyland in Anaheim, California, twice a week. We were all homeschooled, so my mom would bring us into Disneyland with our schoolwork. We would ride a ride, come back, do some schoolwork. Ride a ride, come back, and do some schoolwork. And this is back where, during the week, there'd be maybe 100 people in the entire park. There was no one there in my childhood, in Disneyland. So I wanted that for my children, obviously. But we moved to Tennessee. Oh, they have Dollywood. Pff, great. I don't like country music. I don't really listen to Dolly Parton. She's probably a good singer, but what do I care? Do they have some roller coasters? Oh, okay, some pretty good roller coasters. We'll check it out. It's probably just country music. There's a little bit of that, but it's a quality theme park. Yes. It is not just redneck Disneyland, but cheaper and better. It is, if you don't want your kids to be corrupted by Disney, take them to Dollywood. It is a very family-friendly atmosphere with great rides, shows, food, all that stuff. It's
Although, in fairness, specifically Disney World in Florida has gotten rid of a lot, if not all, of their DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion programs. So things could be looking up.
Maybe, but I don't feel like my kids are going to see someone that I'll have to explain in Dollywood.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. KG says, I don't do much country, but Dolly is cool.
I definitely, the songs that I've heard of hers, I can really appreciate. And I've seen her before in Dollywood. She's there all the time, which is really cool.
Lucky?
Yeah. Yeah, probably Black Dragon.
All right, well, I am ready to shut this down if you are. We've gone about an hour on your channel, 2 hours, 14 minutes on mine. So anything else we want to cover before we get out of here?
I can't believe that this didn't occur to me sooner, the theory of the timelines. And I don't know with saucer bumper cars in the 60s. I like Autopia.
No, we have not seen it yet. Nope. But I have heard it's good.
Going back to the theory, I just can't believe that I didn't think of that about this before. And maybe it's just obvious to everyone else, but it explains a whole lot. And I'm going to make a video on it right now. You guys will see it. You guys will see it on my channel in maybe about an hour. Because I'm going to make that before I go to bed. Definitely.
Sounds good. All right. Well, guys, we are going to go ahead and end it here. So thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure to, I don't care what, yes. Okay. So if you're watching on Tim's channel, make sure you delicately tap the like button. But if you're watching on my channel, hit that like button as hard as you want. But
good luck with your broken phones.
Make sure you hit like and subscribe if you haven't already. May the stash be with you. And just remember, everyone, the Force is family. And we'll see you later. Oh, forgot the clip.